everybody. Today I have something kind of new. I have an interview with Bakari Chavanu. He is, in my opinion, the original Mac automator. Um, he runs, not designed, probably designed too. He runs Mac Automation Tips, the website, and he has a lot of cool information on it. So if you ever wanted to learn more about Mac automation and his work, you should go over to his website and check him out. His link is going to be down below in the description. And without further ado, let's get started with the interview. One thing to note is, unfortunately, when I was doing the Zoom recording, my setup seemed to have only recorded his screen and did not record me in as the conversation was going. So I'm going to present this video in more of a podcast form, but obviously it will still be on YouTube. But hopefully you will see an image and the waveform art going as the conversation moves along. So without further ado, here is the conversation between Bakari and I. Hi, Bakari. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you so much for inviting me to this interview. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on and deciding to come out and be a part of my channel.
No problem.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get it started in Mac automation?
Oh, I've been I'm bad with dates and stuff, but I've been doing Mac automation for several years. Way back when I was doing photography work. I used to be a freelance photographer for a bit. And in that process of, processing a lot of videos and things like that, I had to find ways to automate that stuff because it was a lot of work. And I was using Photoshop and Aperture at the time, and then it was just running the business and things of that sort. So I was kind of looking I started hearing about automation with Apple's Automator, right? So I started using Automator and tried to learn as much as I could with that, and tried to learn as much as I could with Apple Script. And then there was another application that was similar to Keyboard Maestro, and I think it was called iKeys or something like that. I forget the exact name, but it was definitely similar to Keyboard Maestro, really powerful. And when I found that, that made a huge difference. And so I started writing articles about iKey and automated and other automations, built into the Mac. And I was writing for makeuseof.com, which is still around today. And I was a staff writer there for a number of years. And so I wrote a lot, several articles, and even created a kind of a short booklet for Make Use Of on Mac automation. And so, I was just, started websites, blogging, been through it all. And so that's how I kind of got started. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I got started by listening to a podcast.
Okay.
Mac Power Users. And that's how I got started with, I think it was Text Expander was the first automation that I got into.
Right. Yeah, definitely got to have that.
When did you start the site Mac Automation Tips?
I knew you were going to ask me that question, and I should have looked it up. I want to say.
You don't have to give an exact date. You just
it was. I want to say 2017, maybe 2015. It's been around for a while because I had it on a free WordPress site for a while, and then I moved it a kind of self-hosted WordPress, and so yeah, so it's been out for a number of years. Just doing it pretty much myself, you know.
Yeah, I know when I started kind of looking into automation, you were one of the first people that kind of showed up on my radar. And I looked into your website. It was a lot of cool stuff. I signed up, I believe, for your newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always got the articles about how to do various automations. It was very cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
I still enjoy it. I still get the letters every now and then. Yeah.
Well, I've slowed down tremendously because just been working things of that sort. But I figured that most people who are new to this probably have enough material on there already that you know that they have plenty. If I don't even write for another 3 months, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I do plan to get some more back up there. It just takes time.
Yeah, it does, definitely does.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't automate writing, even though there's some good AI tools out for writing, though. It really helps, and so I'm taking advantage of those tools.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard of AI that actually do the writing for you.
Well, there's a couple of them that will. Yeah, there's I use one tool that it doesn't write the articles for you, but you can give it information, and it will spew back to you some results in terms of paragraphs, no long article, but paragraphs. And so, let's say social media posts or something like that, it's very useful because it can save time. It can give you a lot of ideas that it might take you, well, it will take you a longer time to come up on your own. And so it doesn't do everything for you. It's just an assistant. Okay. So that is useful. And I'm started using Grammarly, which came out, I think it's 2015 as well. And it wasn't good. It wasn't good at first. I remember trying it out, and it wasn't, you had to give it your text and then wait, like drink some coffee or something to come back and give you results. Wow. Now it's almost instantaneous. So it can do really well at checking your grammar, checking your spelling, giving you suggestions for rewrites. That really helps when you're, trying to produce articles and content, because these days it's not as simple as, writing a blog. You have to produce it. You got to get the graphics together.
Yeah.
You got to, publicize it. You got to edit it. And if you don't have an editor, it takes up a lot of time. So that's the reason why, that's my excuse for not really being able to do it as much as I used to.
No, I totally understand. And even that's, true for me. I have a real hard time. Like, people say you should always post multiple times a week. I'm like, even just doing it once a week, you have to, record the video, edit, come up with a thumbnail. And even, I'm trying to write, and I told you last week when we talked, inside that ad, I'm trying to at least do one a week just to kind of keep it going.
Right.
It's
you have to. It's almost a full-time gig if you really want to try to make money with it and be consistent with it. It can be a full-time thing. So for me, I've been a freelancer, and I do, I have monthly paid job, which is very important. So I have some space to do other things, but I just can't do that by itself. I wish I could, and maybe after I retire, maybe I can do that. But it does. People just don't know. And if you don't, it's hard to do that and just do it. And people are like, if you're not selling something, or if you're not doing it for a particular reason, and people don't always have time to absorb that content, because a lot of times people don't have time. So I don't take it personally if people don't always respond, because I know that people are busy.
Right.
And so I just felt like, why keep trying to produce all this content when I know people don't have that kind of time? Yeah. So, I'll just do it when I can. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing as well. Mm-hmm. So what's your favorite automation that you do on the Mac?
Well, that's a good one. I would say Keyboard Maestro is my favorite, but really the one that I use the most is Better Touch Tool. That's the one I did a course on. Better Touch Tool allows me to trigger almost anything while my hands on my trackpad. So the way I look at automation is that I want to be able to automate something. If my hands on my keyboard, I want to be able to automate. But if my hand on my trackpad, I want to be able to do the same thing. So maybe, for example, if my hand is on my keyboard and I want to close a window, I can do Command W, right?
Yeah.
Or I can do Command C and do a screenshot. But if my hand is already on my trackpad, I want to be able to do trigger Command C or close a window using my hand, using my fingers, right? I don't want to have to take my fingers back to the trackpad just to trigger those, those actions. And so that's how I look at automation. So Better Touch Tool, because my hand is on my trackpad the most, except when I'm typing, I'm just literally typing a lot. Then that's where Better Touch Tool comes in. I mean, I have probably 1,000 actions on Better Touch Tool, even though I probably use on a day-to-day basis probably about 75 of them on a day-to-day basis.
Do you have automations that start every day?
Oh yeah. I mean, in the morning, Keyboard Maestro will start up like certain days, like for say on Thursdays, right? I want to go over my finances.
Right.
So it will open up all those pages related to my finances and have it ready for Thursday. And then on Friday, it will open up my WordPress back-end WordPress sites, and so I can do back-end work and do maintenance on those.
Yeah.
And so it opens those things up. So yeah, I have several day and time automations in Keyboard Maestro that just work all the time. And some of that stuff works behind the scenes, like Hazel.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Are you familiar with Hazel? So
I have.
Yeah, Hazel works behind the scenes, so I really don't have to. I just set those rules up, and it just does it.
Hazel, I found that you kind of just like I set it up for the downloads folder. Mm-hmm. And pretty much, it clears the downloads and clears the screenshots that are on my desktop. And that's about it. Other than that, I forget about it.
There you go. That's it. I mean, you can really do that. And then when you start mapping Keyboard Maestro triggers to Hazel, you can do even more. So for example, I have a job where I have to download a PDF.
Right.
And that PDF, PDF needs to be exported, or at least to be uploaded to a Google folder, right? So with Hazel, anytime that PDF with that keyword in it is downloaded, it automatically goes to a folder and opens up that Google folder for me. So it has it's a folder on my hard drive, but also opens up the Google folder. So it does all that. It saves me the steps of going through it, right? And it reminds me that I need to put it in that Google folder. And so, when you start mapping these applications to one another, it's even more powerful. It's great.
Does it take you a while to kind of come up with the automations, or you just kind of do them as needed?
I do them as needed. Anytime that I do something more than 3 times, then I'm saying, look, can I automate this? And particularly if I know that there's some steps involved. If the steps involve if it involves keyboard shortcuts, if it involves some like clicking a button, if it involves really simple things like that, I'm pretty sure that I can duplicate it in a automation application. So I mean, if I'm doing it more than 3 times, I'll definitely try to automate it. It's just, I just do it naturally. And sometimes some of them are very kind of tricky, but I'll work it. I'll do it because I know I'll get that time back. If it's something I know I'll be doing for a while, right? I'll be doing it for all the time. I'll get that time back. So I don't mind putting the time in.
What's your favorite tool for automation?
Well, like I would say Better Touch Tool.
Better touch.
Yeah, it's a favorite. Yeah, in terms of what do you mean in terms of like a tool besides the application? You mean
Like
or
whether would you rather Better Touch Tool, Keyboard Maestro, or
oh no, I can't choose like that. I have to have all of them. You
yeah,
know, like I mean, I'm really scared that he's like because what happened with the application I was telling you about, IKEA, whatever it was,
yeah,
something happened to the developer apparently,
okay,
and the developer was stopped on that. And I guess he developed it, but he also had a company, I guess, that was managing it or something. And so they
right,
tried to keep it going, and but it never, you know, after he apparently died or something happened to them, it just kind of went down the hill. And so
yeah.
I just think about like what happens if, you know,
If it started,
developers of Keyboard Maestro or Better Touch Tool, what happens when they are not around? I mean, it's like, what's
right,
going to happen?
yeah. At least Better Touch Tool, I think, is a bigger company, but Keyboard Maestro, I think, is just one guy that.
Well, and I think Better Touch Tool is one guy as well, unless he's hired some other people.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think they're one. I think they're one. I think that I heard or read somewhere that the Better Touch Tool guy, he's out of Germany, and
Yeah,
I think he quit his day job to do full time with Better Touch Tool. So I'm not sure how that's working out because it's not an expensive application at all. You know,
no,
very modest in price.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I just hope that they have somebody because I don't see Apple picking it up, unfortunately.
right.
You know.
What are you hoping to share with people with the automation stuff that you do, with automation tips?
What
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 do
are
I
you
hope?
hoping that people get out of it?
Oh, okay. Well, you know, it breaks my heart. And I just saw it even this weekend when I was at a meeting and a couple of people were on their computers doing typing. And yeah, I know these people. And I asked them, I said, do you guys use a text expansion, application? And they said no. And I'm just like, and I watched this guy literally type out stuff that I know he types out a lot, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
types out the name of the organization or email. And I literally seeing him just type this thing out, right? And I'm
yeah,
thinking, man, if he just knew about automation, he would just be able to get that done in no time, right?
right.
And so I wish that Apple did more in terms of promoting that. Back in the day, they used to have, remember they used to have the Apple conferences or the Apple, what are they called? Macworld.
Macworld, yeah,
Yeah, Macworld. And the thing about Macworld was they used to have the workshops, and a lot of people that were new to Mac used to show up at those workshops, right? And that was a time to share, things about Mac automation and just all kinds of stuff. And so now I don't know if people get that. It's like I
yeah,
think a lot of the people who seem to subscribe to my site are either content producers, designers, accountants, lawyers, people like that who have to do a lot on their computer. But yeah, I wish people would. I feel sorry for anybody who doesn't use a text expander application. It doesn't
yeah.
have to be text expander itself, but it needs to be some kind of text expansion
Yeah.
program.
And there's several of them. There's like
Yeah.
Typinator, Keyboard Maestro. Those are the
Yep.
other two that I can think of.
Yeah. What type it for me? Even Alfred has a text expander program. So,
Yeah,
but it's
Alfred
just
Fountain.
like, how do you get that in the hands of people? It would just be interesting to know how many people don't know how to use that.
Right.
I know that the Mac has a built-in text expansion, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if people even use that in terms of like literally going there and adding snippets, text to it
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they do that. I think they kind of rely on the OS system to do it for them. Like how
Right.
it completes some words or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if people like go and do it themselves. I'm not like my wife doesn't do that.
Right. And
So
it's not as intuitive to find it. It's not as intuitive as
right,
easy it is
right,
to do even on the iPhone actually. It's
right,
not, easy to find and to
right,
add stuff to. Hmm.
right. and Apple doesn't really even say anything about it. I mean, it's just like they never have never said anything about it. It's just
Yeah,
weird.
they don't really market their automation capabilities as a benefit, really.
No, they don't. They don't. They
But
let go of the guy that created or was the head of the automated production team. They
yeah,
let him go a number of years ago, and they really have not upgraded automated. I think they keep it in there because some people probably are still running automations with it. I don't recommend it
yeah,
anymore. I did an article about comparing automated and keyboard maestro, and so I just I feel like you really don't need it if you have keyboard
yeah.
maestro. So,
I had into it because I was like, people have all this power on these computers, but they don't really use anything besides, word processing,
right.
watch some video, like they consume rather than create
Yeah.
things. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think it does take time. I mean, I look at my family, and say,
yeah,
even my kids, even my, they're adults now, but young adults anyway. And I think people it's just taking the time to figure it out. It's like, for me, I would love to learn coding, right?
right.
So coding right now would be very difficult for me. I can learn it, but it's a very challenge. For some people, doing simple automation is like learning coding, and
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, it's really just kind of thinking about, okay, what's the logical steps I need to put together for this action to take place. And some people they just can't do it, and or they don't know how to take the time to do it. So,
And some platforms are much easier to navigate
yeah,
than others. I don't know.
right.
Like you've seen, I'm sure we talked about Keyboard Maestro, but you've seen like shortcuts and
Mm-hmm.
Automator. I don't know how many people still use Automator, but
I think automated would be more difficult to use in Keyboard Maestro, actually, because it's just very limited in the actions that it has, and it requires more. If you wanted to do kind of advanced stuff, you would need to use Apple Script and stuff like that. I mean, it's basically it seems to me based on Apple Script programming. That's what it seems to be based on. I mean, I'm not an expert in that. So I think people just, if they see that, if it's simple, like my wife will use voice dictation on her phone because it comes in handy, but to get her to go, like she still puts her, and I hope I'm not revealing too much, but she still puts her login information in a note app. So I mean,
yeah,
and that's another thing. I mean, I see people who don't have a login manager, and they have to go look up the passwords all the time, and
right.
that's painful. I just couldn't live like that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I love the things that you can do instantaneously, like with AppleScript especially. I
Mm-hmm.
love because I don't write AppleScript. I'll tell you right now. Most of my AppleScript
Mm-hmm.
are somebody else's AppleScript, and then
Right.
I make some changes to
Right.
it to
Right.
fit what I need.
Right.
So
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I did the same thing. You could Google a script and you can find it for most the popular things that you want to do. And
yeah,
that's fine. That's really fine. I mean, it really is, because a lot of even what Keyboard Maestro does is Apple script stuff, and
yeah,
so yeah, I mean, it's perfectly fine. I mean, that's the richness of the internet, and getting back to AI in terms of writing, basically. AI is learning from the internet. We have so much content on the internet now, right?
yeah,
That one day, AI will be able to write an entire book about, oh, okay, say you want to write some paper or a book about Tanzania. Well, okay,
right.
AI is going to look at all the stuff that's been written about Tanzania and pull some of the best information
And
into
then put it
something
together.
readable, right? And all you
Yeah,
have to do is flip it around. I mean, that's because the internet is this vast information, place, right? Space. I mean, it's huge,
yeah,
and that's beautiful. And so we can benefit from that, and it doesn't make you lazy. It just enhances what you can do but you're still involved. You still have
Right.
to make choices. You still all that. So that's the beauty of all this stuff. You got stuff about, Apple scripts out there. You got all kinds of stuff that's available pretty much free. Pretty much free.
Pretty much free. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go back to, you said you used Dragon Dictate?
Mm-hmm. Well, I still do. It still works.
I used that in,
Uh-huh.
I think maybe when I was in school, in high school and college.
Oh, wow.
After that, I remember when I was getting ready for my MBA program, I was like, I actually called and was like, do you think this works better than Siri?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you know what? I used it for a little while, but I never thought that it was as good as Siri. What are your thoughts on Dragon?
Oh, I think it's much better than Siri. I still use it. It still works, even though not like it used to. You can't go in and do certain things that you used to be able to do, but it was able to correct mistakes in text in a way that Siri, very difficult for Siri to do. I think that you could give it words and tell it learns particular language that you use. It would do that a lot better than Siri. And so that's the reason why I still open it up. When I open up the text to speech or the speech to text, right? Speech to text, function on the Mac on the Mac OS, it slows my computer down. I can't keep it open, right. And so I can't really. I would love to use it because it's built in, but it just takes up a lot of power on my computer. And so I'm lucky. Like some days when I'm just like too tired to keep typing, I will pull out Dragon Dictate, particularly if I want to do journal writing. I use that for journal writing. I use it for the first drafts of articles. Sometimes it just depends on how the mood I'm in. But back in the early days when it was working really well, I used it a lot because it used to be you could also use it to open up applications, close applications, go to websites. So yeah, it was just and it was just tragic the way they stopped that. I mean, it was just
they stopped development on it.
Oh yeah, this was like maybe 2000. It's been a while, 2017, something like that. It was just, wow. I think that they were. I don't know what it was. They struggled to keep it updated because I was using a numbers program before Dragon Dictate came out. It was something called like iTalk or something like that. And so Dragon Dictate or Nuance, the company bought out iTalk. And then they came out with Dragon Dictate based upon the PC version of it, right?
Yeah.
And so at first it was kind of raggedy, but then it got really, really well, really good. And by the time they really had it down, that's when they stopped. And there are a lot of people who have disabilities and they can't type or something like that. Yeah. They really needed that program. Right. And I know Apple has tried to say, well, they've got this replacement, but it is not as, I actually write an article about it. I've been meaning to. It's not as good as it could be.
Yeah.
It's not as good as it could. It's useful, but it's not as good as it could be.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, you're the first one that I've heard that tell me that they actually used it.
Oh, well, the what's his name with Bakari uses? What is his name?
David Sparks.
Yeah, he used to use it all the time too. And I think the last I heard, I think he was still trying to use it because a lot of us who were using it, we always wonder, like, what release of Mac OS is going to finally just nail it and make you not be able to use it anymore. Right. And so you keep thinking, I know for a while, I wouldn't even upgrade my Mac OS until I was sure that it would work with Dragon Dictate.
Yeah.
Literally. And so, because I was using it that much, right? And so, yeah, David Sparks, I haven't listened to the show in a while, because I just haven't had time. But I know he was using it big time.
I remember when I felt that it was starting to kind of lag behind, I would record things on my iPhone and then make sure that it's a program that would also sync to the computer, like drafts. Heard of the note application drafts?
Yeah.
Which also has automation capabilities. So I would dictate stuff into a drafts note and then open the same program on the Mac, and it would just be there.
Yeah. I use draft. Drafts is my little it's my scrap paper. It's like I can just put anything I want in it, open it up, it's right there, and I have some automations in there as well. They have like a little automation. I love it. I love drafts. I do subscribe to that. I got the pro account.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful app. Yeah. So he, I don't know. I mean, everybody thought that Apple had bought Dragon Dictate from Nuance.
That's what I thought.
Apparently, that's what everybody assumed that, but I'm not sure it ever happened. So
apparently not, huh?
Yeah.
So let me ask you last couple of questions here. What would you like to see in the future for automation? What automation would you like to see?
Well, first off, I would love to see. What do you call it? Not the iPod? No. What is the speaker? The Mac speaker called?
HomePod.
HomePod
Mini.
Yeah, I got one sitting right here, and I'll get the name. I would love to see the HomePod or something have more capabilities. I would love to see Apple come out with its own Google type hub with a visual display.
Yeah.
It's sad that I have to go buy a Google hub to get that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why hasn't Apple done that?
Right? Or Amazon Alexa.
Or Amazon Alexa, what have you, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's on a basic level. But I would love to see some eye triggering automation. Some developer a number of years ago produced something like that where you could look at the camera, and the way that you move your eyes could do something, could trigger something, right? And it was rudimentary, but it worked. And I would love to see Apple do that for sure. Even like I would love to see it be able to, you can wave your hand. That's another one did where you could wave your hand a certain way.
Yeah.
Right. And it would trigger. So there was a little device you could buy, and you could hook it up to Better Touch Tool. It's like a little device, little small device. It had like some kind of red thing light in it. But anyway, if you do your hand across a certain ways, you could trigger something.
Wow.
And so I would love to see just stuff like that, Yeah. And I can't even imagine. There's probably even more things I can't even imagine. But
you still you also have a what is that called? I'm drawing a blank on the name now. It's like a keyboard, but
like Stream Deck.
Stream Deck, yeah.
Yeah, I got it right. I got it right here. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah,
there you go.
I got that. Yeah, I bought that.
Is that
first I didn't think I worked with it. I had something similar years ago, and I thought like I really wouldn't need it because I got Keyboard Maestro and I have Better Touch Tool.
Right.
But it's useful, I use it to, cut my lights on or to click and play a playlist on iTunes or music app. I have some Zoom buttons on there.
Right.
And I could probably do more, but I probably don't use it as much as because my hand is already on my trackpad, so I can trigger stuff there too. But it's nice to have it though. It's really nice to have it. Didn't cost that much. And so I can imagine though people who use, do photography or videography or what have you, it could be very useful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do a lot of that. So yeah, it's worth getting. You can trigger it to do, dozens of triggers, actions and stuff. So you're not limited. Sometimes I have things on here that I forget I have. I need to okay, I just did all that. I could have just punched the button right here.
Yeah. I found that with all the keyboard shortcuts for Keyboard Maestro. I have to have some sort of list to remember, like, okay, I have this mapped out to this key, this to that key, and
Right.
yeah.
Do you happen to use string triggers with Keyboard Maestro? String triggers?
So sometimes, but not very often. I use the hotkey trigger most of the time.
See, and I can't remember the hotkeys at all. I mean, at least not the ones that are not the common ones, right? But the string triggers, I can remember them a lot easier
You just
because I do the string in a way that makes me visualize what I need to do. So, for example, I can use VB, hit the letters VB 2 times to paste something.
Yeah.
So rather than doing Command V, which takes longer than VV, so I can do that. Or I can also navigate through a sentence. Like, so say if I'm typing and I go back in the sentence and I make a correction, I have a thing called, I use JP. That means jump to the end of the paragraph. So it would jump the cursor to the end of the paragraph when I type JP. So I try to use those letters that I associate with the action. That's my point.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I have dozens. I mean, oh wow,
so
probably over 100 of those.
If you were to ever get on somebody else's keyboard,
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. No, I could not. I know it would be a nightmare. Oh, I mean, I've had times when I don't know what kind of case it was, but I did not have access to Keyboard Maestro or these other tools, and it was a headache. I mean, no way. That's the reason why I said I'm scared these people might die or something, and we won't have this. And I'll be like, oh man, do I need to learn coding so I can keep it going or what?
Yeah,
right? It's just no, I just can't even imagine. But yeah, I wrote some articles on string triggers for Keyboard Maestro. So if people are curious to go check it out. But yeah, I use hundreds of those, a lot. I can even type physical numbers using string triggers, like because I don't like looking down at my keyboard in order to find the number key. Because I mean, maybe I'm just kind of old like that, so I can't find the number key without looking down, and I hate that. So I created some string triggers so I can type numbers.
So if you type a 7 and put in the 7 instead?
Yeah, so I think for 7 it's comma. See, I can't remember, like I just do it without even thinking about it. But it's like comma V, I think, or something like that. And then comma E is 3, whatever, right? I mean, I can show you. I think I have it on my Twitter as well. Yeah, I did put it on my Twitter. If you go down my Twitter stream, you will see what I use. But yeah, it's logical for me, right?
Yeah.
And it just means I don't have to look down on my keyboard. Now I still, sometimes I'll look down to type numbers on occasion, but I try to use it, while I'm typing really fast, just to keep my hands on those home keys. That's my whole point.
That's smart. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have one fun question for you. What gear are you driving these days?
What gear am I using?
Yeah.
Oh, just in terms of like technical gear, pretty much.
Like what Mac are you using? An iPad? Are you using an iPhone?
Yeah, I got all that. I have a 27-inch iMac with another what is this called? Dell. This is real cheap Dell monitor here on the side, which I'm kind of talking to you right now with. I have the iPad. Well, not the top iPad Pro, but I have I forget what version. I don't know what versions they are these days, but I have I always have a new version. Newer version, and I don't try to keep up with all of them. Yeah. But I have iPad. I have an iPad Mini. I use that to read my Kindle books on that. That's exclusively for Kindle books. And iPhone, AirPods. Yeah. Pretty much. Everything I have, but I'm just not somebody who I have to watch. And so I don't try to keep up with all of it. I'll take, because I think it's just a waste of money to do that. Yeah. And I try to wait until I feel like that is something really, really new. Like the last iteration of the iWatch was just not good enough for me to invest $400 more. I'm not going to do that. So, but I'll wait. If it's really a good upgrade, has really new features or redesign, like I really want to see the iWatch get thinner and a little bit more rounded. If that comes out, I'll get it. But I'm not going to just get it because they put it out there. I do want to see them do. What are they supposed to work on there? Is the eyeglasses. I'm really curious about how that's going to work. But yeah.
For me, I actually returned my Apple Watch. I was like, I got the Apple Watch SE, and it would run out of battery before the end of the day.
Wow!
Like by noon or 2:00, and I was like, well, this is not worth it. So was
it the first one or the second or?
I'm not sure. I think it was maybe second or third for the Apple Watch SE. It's the one that they still have up now for the Apple Watch SE. So
probably the third. Yeah. You probably, they always do that because I know the first iterations always eat up a lot of battery. Same thing with the AirPods, right? Remember the first AirPod that came out, it got to be out about a year or more, a little bit over a year.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep it going for past 30 minutes on a phone call. It was fine for listening to music.
Right.
It will go for a long time. But I use it for phone calls a lot, right? And so it would not go past. So I had to get enough. I had to get the second pair. And the pair I have now will go as long as maybe about 2 hours. Little almost 2 hours.
On a phone call.
On a phone, on a Zoom. On a Zoom. And a phone call, yeah. And so, but yeah, I'm surprised to hear that about the watch, though. I think if you this watch here will definitely last me. It won't last me more than a day. Probably the next day, but it will last all day.
I'm happy. I would have been happy if it would have lasted all day, like the one day, which is what happens to phones nowadays when you have them multiple years, right?
Right.
You're with a like AT&T, they have the next plan. So you have to keep it for a while until you pay off the phone,
right?
And then, it loses the battery integrity, I guess. And you have to charge it like once a day at night or something. So I would have been happy if it was doing that, but it was dying like in the middle of the afternoon, and I'd be like wearing a dud watch. So
yeah, I would invest in one of the later ones or wait until the next one comes out, because I think that the battery won't be an issue with that. I love the watch because the one thing I use on it is I use the timer a lot on there, and I use the weather app. I like to get messages on there. That's really convenient. I get phone calls when I'm in the bathroom all the time on it. So that's kind of weird, but anyway, I like it. I kind of wish I had the
7,
the cellular. I wish I had the cellular version of the watch, but I don't really, that would be a luxury. I don't really go enough places because I work from home. But if I travel more, I would definitely have the cellular version.
Yeah, that's why I gave up my iPad. I was like, I'm working from home now. I'm not really using the iPad much, so.
Oh, but I use the iPad to read mostly. I mean, I use it to browse YouTube.
Yeah.
I read all my PDFs. I've been paperless. For a number of years, like about probably 1915 again. I'm sorry, 2015.
Yeah.
I just started. I literally do not handwrite anything at all. I mean, I may sign a check or something, or write a note.
I don't handwrite anything, but look at this. I printed out my list of questions. I don't know. Can you see?
I would never do that anymore. I would have that either on my phone or my iPad. I just literally I haven't had a printer since my kids graduated.
Yeah.
After my kids graduated from high school, I just stopped buying them. I got rid of all my I used to have these big binders, of just stuff that I printed out, PDFs, stuff like that, right? Then it just dawned on me one day, like, wow, I can just download all these PDFs that I need on my iPad. It's right there, boom. And I don't buy paper books that much either, even though I'm now publishing paper books. But I don't really buy them for myself though, because I have the Kindle. So it's like, and I saw, I just couldn't imagine. That's another thing I would hate to not have is the iPad. I remember getting the first one that came out and I was so excited. That was the only time that I ever stood in the line for an Apple product. Was the first iPad. I stood, and it wasn't a big line because I was at Best Buy, and so it wasn't really a line at all. Hardly, it was like maybe, I don't know, a dozen people. And so, but yeah, I love the iPad. I love that more than the iMac because it never gives me any problems.
Yeah, it always holds a charge, right?
Yeah, it holds a charge, and I could just lie in bed and just do all kind of stuff,
There you go. Yeah. All right, Bakari, thank you for coming on. Where would you like people to check your stuff out online?
Well, just go to MacAutomationTips.com.
Okay, I'll put that
I used to have them. I was trying to do a membership part of it, but I really haven't had time to keep that going. So I paused the membership part to it, but you still can go and check out, if you look at some articles about Better Touch Tool, I have a course related to that. Now, I agree that it hasn't been updated for a while, but it's still relevant. And if you're really interested in learning how to use Better Touch Tool, definitely you can go to that course. I think I have it down as $20, something like that.
Okay.
And so, just go to those sites and then check me out on Twitter. I try to put stuff up there as well.
Okay, so I'll put your Twitter information down in the description as well.
Okay, no problem.
Right. Thank
you.
Well,
thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been fun talking about it.
Thanks for coming on, and I will talk to you again soon, okay?
Oh, yeah, we'll keep in touch.